Hello, and welcome to K-12 International Academy's series on Technology Basics. Today's lesson is choosing the right equipment. This video will help you understand the minimum requirements for your computer in order for your K-12 courses to work. This video will also help you find the information about your computer that you would need in order to tell technicians the information that they need to if you run into any technology problems. So here are the questions that you will be able to answer by the end of today's presentation. You'll know where to go to find the current K-12 technological requirements. You'll know whether or not you use a desktop computer or a laptop. You'll know whether or not you can access your course using a smartphone or iPad. You'll know your computer's operating system plus the version number. You'll know your processor speed. You'll know how much RAM is on your computer. You'll know if there's any other types of equipment that you should have for your courses. You'll know whether you access your internet by dial-up or broadband. And you'll know whether your computer is hardwired or on Wi-Fi. And finally, you'll know how to check the speed of your internet connection. First, K-12 does have some technological requirements that you need to make sure your computer meets in order for you to be able to access your courses. As our courses are upgraded, this information does change. It doesn't change frequently, but you'll want to check this at least at the beginning of each school year. You can see that there are specifications as to the hardware. I'm going to show you in this presentation how to find all of this information. You'll find this information on the website that I am going to send to you now. If you go to that website, help.k12.com, plus all of that, you'll be able to see the current information that is required for your courses. So on to the next question. First, do you have a desktop or a laptop? This is actually something that confuses people initially. Desktop computers have a very large central processing unit and therefore are less portable. Here is a desktop computer over here to the left. A laptop has a smaller CPU or central processing unit, and so it's got more portability, and it usually has a touchpad mouse to increase the portability even further. I also have pictured here a tablet. A tablet is another kind of portable computer that uses a touchscreen display. It has a keyboard that is separate, but the entire screen can actually be touched and navigated and drawn on as well. Next question, can you use smartphones? And the answer is actually no. You cannot access the K-12 learning system from several devices such as iPads, iPhones, iPods, Kindles, e-readers, and newer Android phones. In order for you to see the specific list of what does and does not work, I'm going to send you another link. That website tells you the information that you need in order to make sure that you are not counting on a device that actually is not compatible with your K-12 course. Next, let's move on to operating systems. I've got the three big ones up here on the screen. If you have a PC computer, it comes loaded with the Windows operating system. Macs have OS 10. Some people pronounce that OS X. It's actually a Roman numeral, so it's OS 10. And Linux has Ubuntu. Now, you do need to know more specific information than just these three terms. I'm going to show you how to look that up on a Windows computer and on OS 10. I'm not going to bother to go into Ubuntu because not many people have that, and if you've got a Linux computer, then you probably are pretty tech savvy already. So in order to find this information in Windows, you are going to want to first click down here where you have the Windows Start button in the lower left corner of your screen. Next, you'll click Computer, And then finally, you'll click down here for Properties. Once you've done that, then it will bring up this screen, which tells you a lot of important information. First, at the very top, you'll see what version number. This computer has Windows version 7. Windows 8 has been released. However, some of the technology courses do not work well with Windows 8. You may find that you need to downgrade your operating system to Windows 7. If you need to do that, you can call the tech department and they can walk you through the steps to do that. So just because you have Windows 8 already installed on your computer doesn't mean that, you know, you're done as far as the technology courses go, but you would have to downgrade in order to access them. Windows 7 can be installed on a Mac or a Linux computer as well. Just because it doesn't come with your computer doesn't mean that it's incompatible with it. You just have to go through the steps of installing it. Down here, it's got the processor speed. Processor should be at least Intel 1.8 gigahertz or faster. And you can see that this computer actually has 2.30 gigahertz, so this is plenty fast. And then we have the installed memory, the random access memory. And this computer has 4 gigabytes, which is well above the minimum of at least 1 gigabyte. Now for the Macs, finding the system properties on a Mac is very easy. In the upper left-hand corner of your computer screen, you'll see the Apple menu. You just click on that, and then you click right underneath that. If you've got the most recent version, it will say about this Mac. It might say about this computer, but click on that, and then it will bring up this box that tells you the version number. Here's the version number. This one has version number 10.9, and then 0.1 is updates. You can also see your processor speed. Again, we've got above the needed amount of gigahertz, and the memory. We've got well above the needed memory on this computer. Now, one other thing before we leave OS 10, it's helpful to know the code name for your version. Mac likes to have code names for all the versions, and sometimes the tech people will refer to the versions in this way rather than by the numbers. So they may ask you, do you have the Mountain Lion version or do you have Mavericks? This computer is version 10.9, and that is Mavericks. So that's helpful information to know as well, so that you can talk to the tech people. Next, I've got some examples of other equipment that you may or may not have. One thing that people ask about is, do I need to have a printer/scanner? It's not essential. If you want to be able to print things out, then obviously you need a printer. For a scanner, sometimes it is handy for assignments. You may be asked to draw a picture. You may be asked to draw a graph. You may be asked to show your work in math. And all these things are easier to do on paper, and then to scan a copy and then send it in to your teacher as a PDF file. However, it's not essential. If you don't have a scanner, you don't have to go run out and buy one, but tell your teacher that you don't have one so they can instruct you as to how to do those things just within the programs you have on your computer. A headset or mic and speakers is something that is recommended. You need to have speakers on your computer so that you can hear videos that may be in your course. If you participate in your teacher's office hours or class connects, you're going to need to be able to hear what your teacher is saying. As far as the microphone goes, you can get by without it, but again, it's easier to do the class connects and the office hours if you do have a microphone as well, so you don't have to just type everything into the chat. Next question, how do you access your internet? And this is a category that tends to confuse a lot of people. First question is, do you have dial-up or broadband? If you have dial-up, then your computer plugs into a phone jack. This is a almost square jack that is exactly what you also access the phone on. So if you have a dial-up computer and only one phone line, if you're trying to access the internet and somebody else tries to make a phone call, then they'll hear horrible screeching noises. That's how you know you've got dial-up. Broadband is a special kind of cable. It uses an Ethernet cable, which is a little bit wider, and it plugs into a separate port in the wall. And broadband is strongly recommended for your K-12 courses. Dial-up tends to be a lot slower and have interruptions, and the courses just aren't made for that. If you have broadband, then you will be able to access your courses a lot more easily, and you won't run into the technical problems that you would if you have dial-up. You also need to know whether you're hardwired or whether you're on Wi-Fi. If you have just one computer in your house, then that one computer is going to be plugged into the modem directly. It's going to be hardwired. Using that computer means there won't be any delays or anything. If you have Wi-Fi in your house, then you could access the internet via a second computer that is not plugged into the modem. It uses Wi-Fi in order to get its information. Technicians like to know whether you're hardwired or on Wi-Fi, because if you're having a problem, it could be due to a delay in the Wi-Fi. Maybe the modem needs to be reset or something like that. So that's something that's important to know as well. Next, you need to know how fast your internet connection is. You will go to www.speedtest.net, and let me send that to you in an announcement as well. And this will let your computer run a test. It will access the internet, and it will bring up a bar that looks like this. You can ignore the ping. What you need to pay attention to is download speed and upload speed. The minimum connection speed that you need to have is 56 kilobytes per second or 0.06 megabytes per second. This computer has 21 megabytes per second, so it definitely passes both the speed for downloads and the speeds for uploads as well. It's important to check your speed periodically. If you're having technical problems on your computer and everything worked fine the day before, and maybe because for some reason your internet is running slow, and in that case you'd want to call your internet provider and troubleshoot that problem with them. Now, you may be using satellite in order to access your internet, so I do want to say a brief few words about this. If you live out in the country, you may not have the ability to get internet access through a cable TV company. You have to use satellites. Satellites use broadband internet access, so if you've got a satellite, you don't have dial-up. However, sometimes satellites do suffer from latency. Latency means slowness, and this could be due to weather conditions. It could be just due to fluctuations in the satellites themselves. I mean, the satellites are way up in space, so your internet connection has to go way up and then way back down in order to get to you, and that can cause some slowness to occur. If the page is not loading, again, do a speed test. That's the first thing that you want to check if you're having problems accessing your pages. And it's also recommended to work ahead whenever possible. Because satellite broadband can be a little bit unpredictable depending on what company you have and what areas that you are in, you need to take that into consideration when you are making your schedule for completing your courses. You'll want to maybe work a week or so ahead so that if you are unable to get much done a day or 2 days because the internet is being a bit slow, that won't destroy your whole schedule. You won't be left behind. So in conclusion, here are the 10 questions again that now you should know the answers to. You may want to write down all these questions and how to find this information and what information you have about your specific computer so that it's right there and handy for computer technicians. You can also write all this down so that if you're going to the store to buy a new computer, you can buy one that works really well with your K-12 courses. One thing that I did not discuss today is how to access the internet using a variety of different web browsers, Internet Explorer, Mozilla Firefox, etc. I'm going to be talking about that in a follow-up video because there's actually a lot of information there. So stay tuned for that. And if you have any questions, please call the customer care number and the technicians can help you. Thank you.